Well, kindergartners, we're going to have some fun working on lines. We're kind of coming full circle back to the beginning of the year here with doing some lines. We're going to use some oil pastel and we're going to paint them. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to take your pencil. We'll put your name on it since we're going to end up doing some painting. Once your name is on it, then you can flip it over and the lines are on the board. I would like you to work through them. You can count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. A couple things we want to do, we want to make sure that your lines go from one side of the paper to the other, that you press the color on hard. So let me do my straight line. I would not want to start here because I'm not on the side. So I would start on the side of the paper. And I don't want to do it lightly like this. I'm going to make sure to press it on pretty hard. So you can see my finger's way down at the bottom so I don't end up breaking it. And I'm kind of going back and forth on the line. And I'm going to make sure this straight line goes all the way to another side. If you got to draw it twice, draw it twice. Just be careful not to rub your hand on it because we know this can smear. So even though there's little bits of color, I'm just going to leave that alone. Then I'm going to put this back. I'll pick out a new color. So I did the straight. Well, which one comes next? My broken line. Since this one's near the top, I'm going to put this one at the bottom. And I'm going to start at the side. And I'm going to take this broken line. And I'm going to move it around all the way to another side. You can see that I'm pressing it on hard. I am going faster than I want you to go, so take your time, press it on hard. Then I'm going to take a new color and I'm going to do my dots. And since these ones are at the top and the bottom, let's put one in the middle. So I'm going to make a circle and I'm going to color it in. Make a circle, color it in. Because sometimes I'll have students where they just like make little dots like that. Let's make sure that you can see it. Make sure that it's big enough. And that's also helping me press it on hard. I do like having some of my lines cross each other, so you can see that this one crossed over the broken line, and now it's crossing over the straight line, and I'm gonna get it all the way to another side. Then I take a look up at the board and I think, what comes next? My curvy line. What color haven't I used? Well, I haven't used red. So let's put this one over here on the right side, and I'm gonna have that one cross over. Let's just press that on a little harder. So I started on the side of my paper. I'm gonna have it cross over that straight line all the way to another side. Let's just draw it on again. Use my finger muscles, press that on. Then I'm gonna look up at the board and I'm gonna think, well, what comes next? My zigzag is gonna be next. I haven't used any purple, so let's try some purple. And since I have one on the right, let's put one over here on the left. I'm gonna zig and zag it around, having it cross some different parts. And if your line looks different than my line, that's a good thing because we want them all to be unique and creative and fun. So here I'm gonna do that one, then I'm gonna check the board and I'm gonna think, well, what comes next? Well, my loop is gonna come next. So I haven't used any black. Well, I'm gonna say black for the end. Black is gonna be my last color. I haven't used any green, so let's do some green. So got my zigzag, let's do my loop. I think it could be fun to have this one kind of come up through here. I'm gonna start on the side. Try to make these loops a little bit bigger. All the way to another side. Take that one back. Press it on a little harder. This loop needs to be done right here a little bit better. That could be fixed in. That probably could look a little bit better too. So it's not a race. And then the last color that I'm gonna do is black. I always save black for the end because it can make your paper a little bit dirty. And I'm gonna do my last line is gonna be my wavy. And I'm gonna bring my wavy kind of from this corner over around here, over to this corner. Once you've done them all, before you ask me for a paintbrush, just try to find them all, make sure that you can count them all up and count to have 7. So straight, yep, dotted, yep, broken, curvy, zigzag, looping, wavy, that makes 7. So now that I have those all done, I'll just make sure these are nice and neat in the box, and then you can raise your hand and I'll give you a paintbrush. I'm gonna take my paintbrush, I'm not gonna splash it or bang it, I'm just gonna dip it in, and I'm gonna start back here with my straight line. So I'm just gonna be really gentle, and I'm gonna start painting it, and I'm gonna kind of stay on one side of the line, and I'm gonna paint a little bit, then get a little more paint. Paint a little bit, get a little bit more paint. And there's a reason that I'm staying kind of on one side of that line, and I'm gonna show you in a minute. Then I'm gonna rinse off my brush, I'm gonna switch colors. So I think this one, I'm gonna try this blue. There's 2 different kinds of paint. Just like we said with the black oil pastel, I'm gonna have black be the last paint color that I'm using too. You don't have to do black, but if you do, save that for the very end. Now this blue is very dark, so I want to rinse off my brush, make sure to keep that clean, and then we'll use a little bit of this. My dotted line is next, and I'm going to just go around my dot. So now there are 2 colors. Once I've gone around these, I'm going to think about, well, what line is next? Well, my curvy line's next. So we'll make sure that that curvy line, I'm gonna rinse off my brush, is right over here. I haven't used any green paint, so let's try some green. I'm gonna switch back over to this one. And I'm always doing a good job washing my brush. I'm not gonna have it touch that orange so much, because if the green touches the orange, it can make it look a little bit brown. So just be careful not to have it touch it too much. Then I'm gonna do my zigzag. I haven't used any of this red. Let's try this red. Or actually, I haven't used any pink paint. Let's try that instead. So here, just use the edge of the paint, always being gentle to make sure that my brush is not making a sound. Now after I have this one, I can see the paint's getting a little bit light, so we'll do that. And then I've got my loop. Let's see what to do with my loop. I haven't used any yellow. Oh, one thing, well, I'll save that for another minute or two from now. I'm gonna paint the other side of that. And then my last line here is gonna be my wavy, and I think I'm gonna try this blue color for that. Please do not tell me you're done. If you get all of the lines done, then I would like you to add a second color to them, and that's why I try to stay on one side of the line. So now that this is done, on this line that is blue oil pastel and orange paint, I could take some red and put it underneath that, and then it's gonna be two colors. So you can see I'm just trying to be gentle. So instead of one color, now it's gonna be two. Then if I were to move over here to my broken line, instead of this broken line being pink and blue, now it can be pink and blue and orange, okay? So I would do that throughout here, giving all of these an extra color of paint. Now, I'm gonna jump to the end. I know that I didn't do this to all of them, but I wanna give you guys more work time. So if you get all of them painted, if you do want to use some black, just save it for the end. And I'm gonna use black here for my looping line, so then it's gonna be yellow and green, and then I'm gonna paint the inside of the loop with black. Black, you can see, is making my brush really dirty. So that's one of the reasons that I just wanna use that at the very end. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up having some of my paint get a little bit too dirty if I can't wash my brush off. So save black for the end, but black can be a fun color to add a little bit more contrast to some of those brighter colors. So that looks really cool. I might even add a little bit of black to this line here, just to make some of this stand out a little bit. So just save black for the end, and I probably will ask you that question too. Let's have fun working on these and making these lines with oil pastel and paint.